It was just another busy morning at work when everything changed. Clara, a dedicated and hardworking woman, had always balanced her responsibilities between her career and being a mother. As a single mom, her son, Elijah, was her world. On this particular day, her usual daycare arrangements fell through at the last minute. Without any other options, Clara did what any mother would do. She brought her son to work. Clara had always been an employee who went above and beyond. She showed up early, worked tirelessly, and was always ready to lend a hand to her colleagues. But on this day, she found herself in a difficult situation. Elijah, a lively 7-year-old, had been having trouble settling down in her office, running around and asking questions as children do. Clara tried her best to keep him busy and quiet, but it wasn't long before her manager noticed the disruption. Her manager, a senior executive who prided himself on maintaining professionalism at all times, called Clara into his office. "Clara, you know, this is not the kind of environment we want to foster here," he said coldly, his arms crossed. "You should have planned better. This is a workplace, not a daycare. I'm afraid I have no choice but to let you go." Clara's heart sank. She had never been given a warning or any indication that her actions could cost her a job. The weight of her manager's words felt like a punch to the gut. She had always prided herself on being professional, but at that moment, she realized that her commitment to motherhood had been seen as a flaw. She wasn't given the chance to explain her situation or how hard she worked every day to make ends meet. Tears welled up in Clara's eyes as she packed her things. She had just lost her job for being a mother, for trying to juggle both her career and her parental responsibilities. The feeling of injustice hung heavy in the air, but there was nothing she could do. She had to leave, not just as an employee, but as someone who was being judged for trying to make the best decision for her child. Clara sat in her car, staring at the steering wheel, still in shock. It had all happened so fast. One minute she was working hard to meet her deadlines, and the next she was fired for something she never expected. She knew the reality of being a working single mother, and she had always tried to find a balance between her career and her responsibilities at home. But in the eyes of her boss, that balance didn't matter. As she drove home, Clara's mind raced with thoughts of how she would tell Elijah. He was just a child, and all he knew was that he loved his mom and wanted to spend time with her. She had always made sacrifices to ensure he had the best, even if that meant putting her own needs aside. But today, it felt like all her efforts were in vain. When she got home, Elijah ran up to her, his smile wide and innocent. He didn't understand what had happened, just that Mommy was home early today. Clara knelt down, holding him tightly as the tears finally came. She didn't know what the future would hold or how she would find another job. The pressure of providing for her son weighed heavily on her shoulders. She had always told herself that she could do it all, but now she wasn't so sure. It wasn't just about the money, it was about her dignity and her ability to provide a stable life for her child. Losing her job meant losing a part of her identity. She had always been proud of her career, and now she had to face the reality that the corporate world wasn't built for mothers like her. But as Clara wiped away her tears, she knew she couldn't give up. She couldn't afford to. For Elijah, for herself, and for every other mother who struggled in silence, she had to keep moving forward. The next chapter of her life was uncertain, but she would write it herself, no matter how hard it seemed. The days that followed were filled with uncertainty and self-doubt. Clara spent hours scouring job boards, sending her resume to every company she could think of, but with every rejection, her confidence waned. It wasn't just about finding another job, it was about proving to herself that she could still do it, that she wasn't defined by her failure. One afternoon, Clara was scrolling through her emails when she came across a message from an executive recruiter she had worked with in the past. The subject line caught her eye. "We have a new opportunity for you." Intrigued, she opened it, and to her surprise, the email was offering her a position with a new company. The offer came with a promise of a fresh start, better hours, better work-life balance. and a company that valued employees as people, not just workers. The recruiter had already spoken to the company's leadership about Clara's situation and assured her that the company was committed to diversity and inclusion. Clara was skeptical at first, but the more she read, the more it sounded like the kind of company she had always hoped to find. After everything that had happened, she felt a sense of hope she hadn't felt in weeks. Clara accepted the offer, her heart swelling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. She didn't know what to expect, but she was ready to start fresh. When she walked into her new office for the first time, she was greeted with a warm welcome. The environment was different, open, supportive, and inclusive. People were genuinely happy to be there, and it showed in the way they treated each other. Her new boss, a woman named Sophia, was kind and understanding. She took Clara aside for a one-on-one meeting on her first day. "I've read about your previous experience," Sophia said with a smile, "and I want you to know that we're here to support you. I was once that kid, too. My mother worked tirelessly to provide for me, and I want to ensure you have the flexibility to do the same." Clara was taken aback. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen, heard, and valued. It was a breath of fresh air, and she couldn't believe that after everything she had been through, she had finally found a place where she could truly thrive. Clara quickly settled into her new role. The work was challenging, but the environment was supportive. Every day, she felt more and more confident in her abilities. She had always been a hard worker, but now she didn't feel like she had to sacrifice her personal life to succeed. Her colleagues were understanding when she needed to leave early for Elijah's school events or when she had to take a sick day to care for him. There was no judgment, no expectation that she had to choose between her career and her motherhood. Her new boss, Sophia, checked in regularly, making sure Clara felt supported. Clara appreciated the openness and the willingness to accommodate her needs. It wasn't just a job, it was a place where she could thrive both professionally and personally. It was the first time in a long while that she didn't feel torn between two worlds. The most surprising part of this new chapter was the community she had found within the company. Her colleagues, many of whom were parents themselves, understood the struggles of balancing work and family life. They rallied together to support one another, sharing tips and offering help whenever someone was in need. Clara felt like she was part of something bigger than just a job. It was a community, a family that had her back, not just for her work, but for who she was as a person. For the first time in a long while, Clara felt at peace with her work-life balance. The pain of her past was still there, but it no longer defined her. Instead, it had become a lesson that had led her to a place where she was not only surviving, but thriving. As the months passed, Clara's confidence grew. She watched Elijah thrive in his school, no longer affected by the incident that had brought them to this new beginning. Their life, though still challenging, felt more balanced. Clara no longer had to choose between her career and her child. She could have both, and that was something she hadn't believed was possible until now. Her relationship with her new boss, Sophia, deepened as they began to collaborate more closely. Sophia had become a mentor to Clara, guiding her through the ups and downs of her professional journey. Clara admired her boss's leadership style and the way she empowered her team. It was a stark contrast to the environment she had left behind. One day, as Clara was sitting in her office reflecting on how far she had come, Sophia stopped by to check on her. "I'm proud of everything you've accomplished," Sophia said with a smile. "You've shown us all what resilience looks like. Keep being who you are." Clara smiled back, her heart full. She had come a long way from the day she had been fired, humiliated, and doubted. Now she was strong, supported, and ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew that she was finally in the right place, both for her and for Elijah. Her journey wasn't just about finding a job, it was about finding a place where she could be herself, where her worth wasn't defined by her circumstances, and where she could build the future she always dreamed of.